What's going on, DLP fam? Eddie Arnold here with DLP Consulting Group, and welcome to another episode of Eddie with the Biz. This week I want to talk to you a little bit about the risk you take when betting on yourself. So, as a consultant and a service provider, you aren't always in a position where you have everything written out in black and white. Your goal should be, as a service provider, to make sure that your milestones are written in such a way where there's no question about when you should get paid, how you should get paid, what the deliverable is to the client, so that there's no question and that you don't have any scope creep. One of the other things, speaking of scope creep, that you want to make sure that you do is whenever the client starts to change things, that you go back to the table and you make sure that you put that in black and white. Like, this is where we were, this is where we're either going to stay and complete this, trash that contract, you're going to pay me for the work I've done this far, trash that contract and then do another one, or stick to the original scope, or add that original scope to the end of what you're already doing. So you want to make sure that you control that process so that you're not left in the lurch going forward. So what do I mean by the risk you take when you're betting on yourself? My experience, when starting out my business, I actually was, had the opportunity to work with someone that I thought would really put me in a network that would expand my business exponentially if I came through and did what I was supposed to do for this particular project. So this is what I did in this particular instance. I met with the client, I did my normal interview evaluation, found out what the pain points were that this particular client had. We decided on a scope, a skeleton of a scope. Then I wrote a full project scope out for this client, and then we agreed on pricing terms for that, right? So in this particular case, I did things I normally would not have because of the exposure, the potential exposure. And on top of that, I already knew from experience and being close to the situation with someone that worked there, that I wasn't going to get screwed on payments and so forth, as long as I came through and I was showing progress in the project, because it was going to be a long 3-month project. What I did was, when there was question on the deal, like, hey, should we move forward? Should we not move forward? Is I said, you know what? If you're not satisfied with the way that things are going in the first month, then don't pay me, right? That's a tremendous gamble if you're putting in work to actually, and you're depending on that work to get back to you. But like I said, the end goal was to be part of a larger network. And in doing so, what I ended up doing was onboarding. Took me a while to onboard because it was a virtual company. So I had to, speak to someone in a different country to get access to the database. I had to sign my NDA. Once I set all that up, then I had to start meeting with management. And normally in my process, I will meet with the owner, and then I'll meet with the team, right? And then I'll go back and do my evaluation, come back and then present that to the ownership. And then we'll decide if we want to go further any further with strategy and so forth, or if he wants to hire me as his fractional operations executive on a basis, whatever that time may be. But in this case, I spoke to the owner a couple of times. We agreed that I would proceed, and I wasn't able to speak to all of the key players, only a couple of them. All that saying is it took me a while longer to onboard in this situation. Once I was able to get onboarded, like 2 to 3 weeks, I started to put in work. And once I started to put in work, I then had to prove, because not everybody's in the same room. It's just more effort and work to get it to people in a virtual company. So I had to do more work to get people on board. It probably took me another 30 days to get everybody in a way where it was like, okay, we're moving, momentum is there, the belief in the process that I'm developing is there. We developed an algorithm, We got processes on paper, and everybody's cooking in the same direction. We're having meetings once a week. The issue became, and I got paid for that first month. The first 30 days I got paid for that first month. Now, the issue came when the second month popped in, and there was a question of how the effort was moving forward and how much the owner had to be involved versus me pushing, or the management team structure as a whole pushing towards in the buy-in. Because I put milestones in there, but I couldn't put the quantifiable metrics that we were looking to attain in the contract. There was some gray area and question marks in that. So anyway, I ended up finishing the project. We finished it early at second milestone done. I got paid for the first month, but then there was that question, gray area of how long were you really working the second month? Was it part of onboarding? Was it not? So forth and so on. So I did get paid for the period that I ended up working. However, that could have been a little bit more of, hey, I'm working gratis. You know what I mean? I'm working for free. But because I left it open to interpretation, because I was looking for the end goal, which did pay off, by the way, it's paying off today. I left it up in the air on whether I was going to get paid that time. And that was the point in taking a risk on myself, like taking a risk. That risk for me paid off. I've heard horror stories of times that it did not pay off. And I just wanted to share that with you guys today. Be careful with the risks that you take, but risks are worth taking. So just be strategic about how you do it. Make sure you're protecting yourself as you do it. And going forward, your work will prove itself. As long as you have the people, the product, and the process to build upon, you should be fine. So thanks for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and we will talk to you on the next one.